morning class. Today I will proceed with organic chemistry. First we will understand the difference between unsaturated and saturated compounds, and then I will proceed with our saturated compounds, that is alkanes. Okay. First let us understand the difference between them. So, saturated hydrocarbons, we mean the alkanes. Now, why do we call them saturated hydrocarbons? Because all the four valencies of carbon are satisfied by hydrogen or carbon using a single bond. Okay? So, alkanes, the first two members, methane and ethane. Okay, so this is your methane and this is your ethane. So all the valencies of carbon are satisfied by hydrogen or carbon using a single bond. Okay, coming to unsaturated, we have two types, alkenes and alkynes. Now we will write the first two members, that is ethene and in case of alkyne we will be having ethyne. Okay. Next we have propene and similarly we will have propyne. Okay, so from the formula we can see that unsaturated hydrocarbon, one of the valencies in each carbon is satisfied by a double bond. Here two of the valencies are satisfied by two double bonds. Okay, so these are called unsaturated hydrocarbons because all the valencies are not satisfied by single covalent sharing. Okay. Here we have one unsaturation and here we have two unsaturation. Okay. Now looking at the formula, we can easily write the general formula of these three types of compounds. So what will be the general formula of alkanes? That is CnH2n plus 2. Okay. Let us see C2H, 2 into 2 plus 2, so 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the formula for alkane. For alkenes is CnH2n. So 2 of the hydrogens are reduced and that is why we have having C2H4. So 2 into 4. And for alkyne again 2 hydrogen will be less. So CnH2n minus 2. So this is our first point of difference, the general formula. Okay. Now we will proceed towards the different properties. Now in case of alkanes, there are only single covalent bond. So this is your second point of difference. Only single covalent bond. Okay. Whereas for alkenes and alkynes you have double covalent bond and triple covalent bond. Okay. Then the third point of difference is reactivity. Okay. Now the reactivity of unsaturated compounds are much more than the saturated compounds. Why? because they have a double bond which is susceptible to reaction, means the electron cloud is being dispersed over the carbon atoms. So easily an attacking reagent can act on these alkenes and alkynes. But in case of alkanes, you only have CC or CH strong covalent bonding, where attacking reagent cannot attack easily. So the reactivity of alkanes is less. So they are less reactive, and both of them are more reactive in nature. Why? Due to availability of electron cloud. Okay. This is the difference of these two. Now, depending on the reactivity, what will happen to the reaction? The type of reaction will vary. The alkenes will show substitution type of reaction, and alkenes or alkynes will show addition type of reaction. So that is your fourth point. That is, they show substitution type of reaction, and here they show addition type of reaction. Okay. Now, before proceeding to alkane, we will have to understand substitution and addition reaction. For substitution reaction, one of the hydrogen atom is replaced by another atom like X. So I am having an alkane suppose I am having ethane. So one of these hydrogens will be replaced by X. So suppose I am having a reagent called HX. Then the compound that will be formed is CH3, CH2, X. So one or the more hydrogen atoms are replaced by this atom. Now this X can be a halogen. Fluoro, chloro, bromo, iodo. Okay, they can also be OH depending on the reaction. Then comes addition. Addition reaction, as I have already told, it occurs on the double or triple bond. So you need an alkene or an alkyne. I am showing an example with alkene. So there is a double bond and this leads to the unsaturation. So electron cloud is present on both the carbons and an attacking reagent will act on it. So suppose my attacking reagent is called E. Okay. Then this E will act over here. Suppose it has two molecules, E and E. They can be any atom. Okay. So both of them will come and sit on the double bond on each carbon. So each carbon will have one of the atoms. So the compound or the attacking reagent is getting added on into the double bond like this. Okay. So this is your addition reaction. Now we will proceed to the alkanes. Okay. Now by alkanes we also call them as paraffin. You guys are aware of paraffin wax that we get from the stationery stores. This paraffin name is given because it is obtained from the word para and affin. That is, they have an affinity to become, combine and together. Okay. So these alkanes are found in nature and they are generally called as paraffins. Now what do they have? They have a strong CC bond and a CH bond, which is a sharing of electrons. And in order to break this bond, you require a huge amount of energy. Now what are the sources? There are varieties of sources in the atmosphere like the the coal mines from where we get petroleum. We have the marsh gases which has methane, and they are also responsible for our greenhouse effect which leads to global warming. Okay, and there are certain other places also like the marshy areas, you know, the ponds which are being filled up with decayed and living organisms. They are also your sources of this alkanes or saturated hydrocarbons. Now we will see the electronic structure of this. Now we are going to study methane and ethane. All the other ones of the homologous series just behave similarly, just the number of carbon atoms increases and their molecular weight increases. Okay, so we will show the diagram of the electronic structure of methane and ethane. So suppose I am having carbon, it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell. Okay, and it will share these electrons with hydrogen. So hydrogen is present over here. So in question, when you will be asked to draw the electronic structure, you will draw it like this. Okay, and the structural formula will become like this with the bond. Okay, now similarly goes for your ethane. Okay, so structural formula you will show with bonds, but the electronic structure you will have to show with the help of electrons. And the other atom, generally try to give a cross for the other atom and circle for that atom. Okay, so that is your electronic structure. Now we will go towards the preparation of these compounds. Now these compounds are prepared in the laboratory by 2 methods. You have a laboratory method, you have a general method, and you have one Booth's reaction. Okay, so first we will study the laboratory method. That is, it is prepared in the laboratory. So we are studying preparation of alkanes. The first one is laboratory method. What they do is they take a hard glass test tube, and within that they use sodium acetate. Now what is sodium acetate? That is CH3COO Na, and to it they add soda lime. Soda lime is NaOH mixed with calcium oxide, and they provide huge temperature, so heat. Okay, they heat in a hard glass test tube. So what is the product that they get? That is methane plus sodium carbonate. Okay, now why did they use soda lime? They could have used sodium hydroxide only, but sodium hydroxide is a deliquescent substance and it will react with the glass. Okay, so they use soda lime, which is a mixture of calcium oxide and sodium hydroxide. Then see what happens is this COO, this goes out. Okay, so if we see, look at the reaction, this COO goes out with this hydrogen. Okay, and this hydrogen actually comes over here and it forms CH4, and Na, see 2Na and C123. So what you are getting? Na2CO3, sodium carbonate, and CH4, that is your methane. So basically there is a loss of CO2 group. Since there is a loss of CO2 group, it is also known as a type of decarboxylation reaction. Okay. Now how it is prepared? This CH4 is actually prepared by downward displacement of water. Why? Because it is insoluble in water. It is an organic compound, non-polar compound. It is soluble in your organic solvents like acetone. So if you are collecting it over water, it will come up and get collected in the jar. So it is collected by downward displacement of water. Then we have the second, that is your general method of preparation, which is known as it is prepared in the industries on a large scale. Here we are using an alkyl halide. It can be any alkyl halide. Suppose I have so this is the general method. So I am having an alkyl halide like CH3I. What I do is reduce it with the help of nascent hydrogen. What is nascent hydrogen? That is a very reactive hydrogen. Okay. Hydrogen is generally present as H2 molecule. We are using H as an atom. Okay. And we require a zinc copper couple. Right. Zinc and copper together. They are known as a zinc copper couple. This acts as a catalyst to the reaction. Okay. Or provides the surface for the reaction. Okay. And then what product we will be getting? We will get CH4 plus HI. Okay. So this is your product. Okay. And the medium of this reaction is alcohol. So what do they do is they take in a test tube, they take CH3I, alcohol, and then they add zinc copper couple and pass hydrogen gas over it. So we will be getting this product. The last method is known as Woods reaction. Woods was a scientist. The reaction was given the name after him. Now this is only for even number of carbon atoms, not for odd number of carbon atoms. Means we cannot prepare methane or propane by this method. We need compounds like ethane or butane. Okay. So what do they do? CH3I plus sodium metal was taken. Sodium metal, as we know, is very reactive, and we take an ether. Okay, it can be dimethyl ether or any other. Generally dimethyl ether is used, and we get so see 2CH3I gets, they react with each other, and we are getting C2H6, and this sodium will take up iodine and go out. So see, from one carbon you are getting two of them as a dimer. So that is why you cannot prepare odd number of carbon atoms. We can prepare compounds with even number of carbon atoms. So this is your preparation part. Next we will be discussing about the physical properties. Now these are gases at ordinary temperature, colorless, odorless, and I have already told you about the solubility, that they are soluble in organic solvents like acetone, DCM, etc. Then we will be proceeding towards the chemical properties. Chemical properties we mean chemical reactions. So the first type of reaction, as I have told, is your substitution reaction. So how do they do this substitution reaction? There is a simple type of reaction which occurs repetitive times. Okay, I will use the example of methane. See, you have methane, so there are 4 hydrogen. The reaction will occur with chlorine, and each time one of the hydrogen will be replaced by chlorine. How? See. So you had CH4. So one of the hydrogen was replaced by Cl. So you are having CH3Cl and HCl goes out. Next, the reaction will proceed with another Cl and it will go on until and unless we get 4Cl4. What is the condition? The condition required is just diffused sunlight. Or heat. What is diffused sunlight? That is, you can use a black colored test tube, just cover it with a slide paper, so the sunlight is available but it is diffused, means you are decreasing the temperature a little bit, or the radiation. So after CH3Cl, the same thing will repeat and the reaction will go on. So you will get CH2Cl2 plus HCl, CHCl3 plus HCl, and finally CCl4 plus HCl. So see, from one compound we are getting 4 compounds. Okay, and how many molecules of HCl are going out? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let us give the name of each of them. This is chloromethane. Okay, monochloromethane. This is dichloromethane. It is also known as DCM. It also acts as a good organic solvent. This is chloroform. We are very much aware of this, which is used in anesthesia purposes and also to make someone unconscious. And then the last one is CCl4, that is carbon tetrachloride, which is also used as an organic solvent. Now in each of the steps you have to add Cl2. Okay, so from one compound you are getting 4 different compounds. How do you separate them? The compounds have difference in boiling points, so we can easily separate them by fractional distillation. Okay, by fractional distillation is dependent on the principle of different boiling points, where we take the reaction medium and then increase the temperature. At different temperatures, each of the compounds evaporates or boils, and then we condense it and collect it. Okay, so this is your substitution. The same thing will occur for ethane. We have discussed methane. The same thing will proceed for ethane. Then we have oxidation reaction. Now oxidation, we have 3 types, major types of oxidation reaction. Okay. The first one is in excess. This we have studied since we were very young. What happens in excess? Suppose you have CH4 and you are giving oxygen in excess. So it will produce CO2 plus H2O and it also liberates heat. Now we are very much aware because this occurs in atmosphere and also inside our body, or in plants where they, take in oxygen. We take in oxygen and give out CO2. Okay. So it is a very common reaction that occurs in the atmosphere and also in the living organisms. Now this is when the oxygen is present in excess. That means we are not controlling the amount of oxygen. Now if we can control the amount of oxygen, then what will happen? We have 2 conditions. One is catalytic oxidation and the other one is known as controlled oxidation. So what will happen if we do catalytic oxidation? Means we are using a catalyst and somehow we are controlling our products. Okay. So we are using catalytic oxidation. Catalytic oxidation, we are going to use some catalyst. So the first example is with we are using a copper tube. We are taking methane, which is a gas, and oxygen in a copper tube, and we are doing the reaction at 200 degrees Celsius and 100 atmosphere. So the pressure is almost 100 times our atmospheric pressure. What product we are getting is alcohol. Okay, so this is specific for this reaction. Using copper tube we will be getting CH3OH or alcohol. Now we can also get aldehydes, acids from CH4. Okay, let us have a look. Now here what do we do is, since oxygen is present in the atmosphere and we want it to be controlled, so we use 9:1 by volume. Means we are taking 9 parts of methane and 1 part of oxygen, and the reaction proceeds and we get alcohol. Now the alcohol we got is CH3OH, that is methanol. Now if this methanol is subjected to further oxidation using copper, then what will we get? We will get HCHO, that is aldehyde. Okay? Again, if we just oxidize this, we will get acid or HCOOH. Okay? Okay. So we are getting alcohol, then aldehyde, and again if we keep on oxidizing, we will get our acid. Same thing happens for ethane. From ethane we get ethanol, then we get ethanaldehyde, and then we get ethanoic acid. Okay? Now suppose I want specifically aldehyde from methane without going by alcohol. What will I do? I will use another catalyst, that is molybdenum oxide, and I will control the temperature 350 to 500 degrees Celsius. Then I will specifically get my methanol. Okay, that is my aldehyde. Okay, so that ends our catalytic oxidation. Now we have controlled oxidation. This we can do at each step. We will be using nascent oxygen, and here we are using an oxidizing agent, that is K2Cr2O7, which is acidified using dilute H2SO4. Okay, first we will get our alcohol, then on further oxidation we will get aldehyde, and on further oxidation we will get our acid. So we can actually control each part. And suppose I don't want aldehyde, what will I do? I will directly add 2 volumes of oxygen over here in order to get my acid. Otherwise I will be using 1 volume of oxygen or oxidizing agent to go through the process. So that ends my oxidation part. The last one that we have is known as pyrolysis, or it is also known as catalytic cracking. Okay, so what is it? We are taking methane and we are giving it huge temperature, that is 1500 degrees Celsius, and it will directly give our alkyne, losing 3 hydrogen. So we are using 2 molecules of methane reacting together to give this. Means we are converting alkane to alkyne directly. Now suppose if I have C2H6, then I can do this at much lower temperature using a catalyst that is known as Al2O3. Then we will get alkene. Okay, so this is alkane to alkyne and this is alkane to alkene, controlling the temperature using a catalyst. So here hydrogen is going out, so this is an example of dehydrogenation reaction. This ends our reaction for alkanes. What else do we have is the uses. The uses we already know. Methane is used everywhere, it is present in the atmosphere. Then we have discussed about CH3Cl, that is a chloroform which is used as an anesthesia, CHCl3. Then we have methanol which is used in as an antiseptic. Then you have your aldehyde, that is methanol, which is also used in our medicine purposes. And you all are aware right now, using sanitizers, we need higher alcohols like isopropyl alcohol and etc. So we just need to know few uses of these compounds, and that ends the first part of the reaction of organic chemistry, that is your alkanes. Next we will be proceeding with alkenes, alkynes, and after that we have our functional group like alcohols and acids. Thank you.